Hello boys and girls, hope you are enjoying your snow day. This will go along with the video that you should have watched before this one about least common multiples. This will be how to add fractions if they don't have like denominators. Last week we were talking with like denominators, this week we're talking without, or subtracting fractions. So the steps to doing this, and this is just a shot of what the outside of my house looked like, because this is going to be all themed on snow. So the steps are: find the LCM, which we already know how to do. Create the like denominators, that's what this video is going to be all about. And then you're just going to add or subtract, which you already know how to do. So it might be 3 steps, it might seem like a lot of steps, but really step number 2 is only the new step that we're rocking with today. So here is a picture of when I went out to go shovel at first, and the problem says Mr. B shoveled 1/3 of his snow at 2 p.m. and 1/4 at 3 p.m. How much of the snow did he shovel at those 2 times? So we know this is an addition problem because it gives us 2 values. We're trying to figure out how much together at those 2 times. But we see that we have 1/3, a 3 as a denominator, and then a 4th, the 4 as the denominator. We can't do anything about those. So we need to, make those like denominators. So the first step is to find our least common multiple. So we've got a 3 and we've got a 4. So 3, 6, 9, 12, 15. Remember, we do 5 and then we switch. So then 4, 4, 8, 12, 16, 20. We look if we have a match, and I do see they do match, and so my LCM will be 12. Now what I'm going to do with this 12 is I'm going to put it as my answer denominator right here. So that's step 1, find my least common multiple. Now the next step is I need to convert both of these into 12ths. So the way that I do that is I take each fraction. So I'll start with the 1/3. Go 1/3, and I like to say this as a little chant to help myself remember. 1/3 times something, so an empty fraction, equals something, so just a fraction bar, over 12. Now I'm going to go back and I'm going to fill in the blanks. So what times 3 will give me 12? Well, I know 3 times 4 is 12, so I'll put a 4 there. Then whatever I do to the bottom in a fraction, I always have to do to the top in this case. So then I put a 4 on the top, because that's the same thing as multiplying by 1. And we know if we multiply by 1, it doesn't change the value, it's just going to change the numbers. So 4 times 1, or 1 times 4, is 4. Now I'll take this, and all I'll do is I'll slide it from right here, right underneath the original 1/3. So we've got 4/12. Now we're going to do that same process with the 1/4. So we've got 1/4 times something equals something over 12. I like to say that chant, that helps me keep in mind. So now I'm seeing what do I need to do the 4 to get to 12? I know 4 times 3 will give me 12. So 3 goes on the bottom, the denominator. Now whatever I do to the bottom, I must do to the top. So I put a 3 on the top, so I'm multiplying by 1. 1 times 3 is 3, so I do that. Now same process, I'm going to just take this here and slide it up. So 3/12. I'm adding because it's an addition problem. So I did that with step 2, make like denominators. Now I'm on step 3, which is just adding, which is probably the easiest step. So 4 plus 3 is 7. Remember, I never ever ever do anything with my denominators, so that just stays the same. And then all I do is I take the 7 and I put it up here, so 7/12 is my answer. Now if you're curious how I was able to turn 1/3 into 4/12 and it not really matter, all we have to do is we check if they're equivalent. So we'll do the butterfly method here, the cross multiplying. 3 times 4 is 12, 12 times 1 is 12, and we see they are equal, they are equivalent. Now, this will be the problem that you're working on, and it was after that the snowplow had come through and undid all his hard work, and you see I'm throwing my shovel at the snowplow. I had made a pile that was 7/8 of my height, and then the snowplow destroyed 2/3 of this pile. How high is this pile now? So I started with 7/8, and it took away 2/3, so that's why this is a subtraction problem. So remember, step number 1 is LCM, step number 2 is like denominators, and then step number 3 is add, or in this case, subtract. So go ahead, try this, and then we'll work through it together. Alright, so step number 1 is what I'm going to go with first. I need to find my least common multiple. So 8, 3. So 8, 16, 24, 32, 40. And now I go 3, 6, 9, 12, 15. I'm going to go a couple more on this one. 15, 18, 21, 24. So I see they have a 24 in common. So that's going to be my answer denominator, 24. Found my least common multiple. Next step, create like denominators. So I'll take 7/8 times something equals something over 24. What do I do to 8? What do I multiply with 8 to get 24? I multiply it with 3. Whatever I do to the bottom, I must do to the top. 7 times 3 is 21. 21 over 24 goes right under the 7/8. Now I need to do the same thing with the 2/3. 2/3 times something equals something over 24. What do I do to 3 to get to 24? Well, I multiply that by 8. Whatever I do to the bottom, I do to the top. And now 2 times 8 is 16. And I move that right under the 2/3. 16 over 24. Now I'm going to subtract that. Never do anything to the denominators, so that stays the same. 21 minus 16, I know that that would be 5. So all I do is I take this 5 up here. So I had to make my like denominators, and then I just added and subtracted. 5/24 is my final answer. Now your bring back to school problem is that you need to find the sum of 3/10 and 1/2. I know that this seems like a lot of work and it might seem overwhelming at first, but it's really not. If we think back, we already know 2 of the steps: the least common multiple and adding and subtracting. All that we learned here was how to create like denominators, so we tied it all together. Don't be afraid to go back and rewatch the video. You have plenty of time, and we'll be working on this in class. So solve this, and whenever I see you next, I'll be looking for this.